What's up, crew? Welcome back to Libertalia Game Supply. I have updated this back mutation Runick deck a little bit here. I think it's definitely a lot more efficient, a lot more consistent than the one I posted maybe like a week ago now. And it still feels as though I'm trying to figure out a little bit how to balance this thing so that you always have gas for the Runick fountain so you can keep getting your draws, but you're also consistently still hitting this gen turn 1 as often as possible because it's really what gets the deck going. And I would say it does that pretty well most of the time, and when you do pull it off, you're usually ending up with like 3 interrupts when you pass turn, plus a handful of stuff from your Runick fountain, lots of interrupts with the Runicks, and it's just a pretty interesting stall deck. I don't know if I'm just crazy or what, but I feel like this has some potential to be just a fun like rogue option at like a regional or something. Probably nothing big because it does die to hand traps kind of bad, and the deck is really tight. I was playing around with trying to play like 45, 50 cards, and then at that point it was getting really inconsistent because you just don't have enough Runicks to rely on always having a Runick card to get your plays going. And so I just narrowed it down to the 40 again just to try to keep it as consistent as possible. And that hand trap issue, it's forced to be a big issue because of that. So I did get the one Called by the Grave in here. The side deck we have the 2 cross out designators, and then the targets for the cards that would be a big issue for us. But there was just no way for me to be able to fit all of that in the main deck and still keep the deck running smooth. So the side deck here is still fairly preliminary. I'm working on how I want to do this and what you would even sub in and sub out. But basically, the idea of the deck is to either use back mutation or Rhoda or hard draw the gen, do the gen combo with the change of heart or the mind control, and make your Dark Lancer interrupt play. So you would essentially go gen, special summon Ken, draw 2, discard 1, activate talents or hard draw one of these 2, activate it, take the Ken back, use the Ken to give them a gen, rip 1 out of their hand, overlay your 2 into the torpedo, detach 2 to draw 1, overlay into the fortress, detach to search the trap, leave the fortress there, and then you'll set the trap, and on your opponent's turn you can activate the trap to rank up the fortress into the Dark Lancer, and then you can banish the trap out of the graveyard to equip the torpedo to the Dark Lancer and equip it to the Dark Lancer, so it's removal without destroying or banishing or bouncing or anything. And that line of play becomes even better if you can get Sprint on the board as well. So when you were to activate the Armored Exceeds to make the Dark Lancer, you would be able to detach the fortress from the Dark Lancer to get a bounce, and then still banish to equip something to the Dark Lancer and steal another thing, so it's 2 removals right there. The Sprite side of the deck works the way the Sprite side of the deck works in every other Sprite Runick build. I think it works really nice, and it does have good synergy with back mutation, so even if you were to hard draw this and the back mutation, you don't really need it for the gen at that point, so you would just summon the Hugin, search the fountain if you need it, or if not, just back mutation it into a blue, and then search for the jet, special the jet, search the starter, activate it, special summon something else, and now you have 3 monsters on board to do what you want with. This just feels like a great card in this deck. It's also searchable by thrust, so if you don't need it because you hard drew this, you can search the back mutation instead, or like if you didn't open anything else to get you to your opening combo, then you gotta hope that there's a hand trap that you can activate this against. But all in all, I think I'm onto something here. The package for this combo is pretty big. We got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 main deck cards, and then the 3 in the side deck in order to play this whole thing the way that I like playing it. And so you can't just stick it in any deck because it's so big. It's got to be a deck that plays like a small package of something else, or like Runicks are pretty flexible, I feel. So because Sprite's small, it feels like it synergizes really well. You also get the opportunity to make use of the Sleipnir a lot more often, which is cool because this is by far the coolest looking Runick monster. It acts as an additional interrupts. You just throw it on the board and then you can banish itself and something in the battle phase, so you're removing a threat at that point, and you can just do it over and over and over again. And then the rest of the link line up here is just removal on your opponent's turn. So I'm playing the double IP. These also can all trigger the Sprite Sprint, so you can get that removal there as long as you have an Xyz monster with material on board. And it's really easy to go Sprint, IP plus another material, at which point you would be able to, on your opponent's turn, IP with your spare material into Little Knight, get the banish, detach 1 for the Sprint. Or you can even go as far as using the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World in a similar way, because you can throw so many little bodies on board, IP into the Goddess, and use one of their materials, so it's another piece of removal. And then the Donner is just another Link 2 removal Link monsters, so it all fit pretty well. But please try this one out. I've been having a lot of fun playing around with it. It feels super good when it all works nice, because it functions very differently than a lot of other decks, and so definitely give it a try. Let me know what you think. If you got other ideas on how to balance this a little bit more even, because if you play around with it a little bit, you'll see that you can get some brick hands where you get like a ton of sprite stuff, and that doesn't really get you anywhere. You need it to be either the gen stuff or the Runick stuff to get your deck going, and so I don't know if you have thoughts about that, let me know about it. I'll throw a few test hands up at the end of this one so you can kind of see how it plays when it's really pumping on all cylinders. I hope you guys had a good sneak peek weekend. Happy deck building. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Goodbye.